Welcome to this week's episode of Your Stock Request for the 6th of July. Hi, I'm Michael Gable, Managing Director at Fairmont Equities. Your Stock Request is the weekly video where I take your requests and analyse the share price charts. This week we have Temple & Webster, Australian Finance Group, Pharmaceutical, Bellevue Gold and Australia Strategic Materials. So if you have a request, please send it through. Make sure you've signed up to the free newsletter. But our best stock tips come out every Tuesday in the Dynamic Investor Report, so make sure you are getting that report. But if you do enjoy these videos, we'd love you to share them on social media or even leave us a review. Our main business is in portfolio management, so if you'd like to have a broking account with me, then please let me know. And all the advice here is general only. So as we could see, Temple & Webster, so we had that downtrend there. And then over the past year, it looks like it's been making a base, forming a base, although the range within that base is pretty large. But if we zoom in a bit more closely, we could see that it's had a very strong run, and it's now back to the top of that range. But it has tested it on a few occasions, so it's just a case of waiting for that breakout. You don't want to chase it up here in case it goes all the way back. But having tested this $6 region on a few occasions, I think there's a good chance it could break it. And if it does break it, then you'd be looking at a decent recovery. But I think it's best to wait for that breakout first. Okay, AFG, so sort of similar. We had this sort of downtrend. Looks like it's starting to break that. So we've got basically the sort of first sort of higher high, so it's taken out that previous high. In the short term we could see this nice run up here. So if it looks like it's starting to get back into an uptrend now, it'd be worth buying, but obviously given the steepness of this move, you wouldn't want to chase it. You'd look for some sort of pullback to buy it, and then of course you just keep an eye on the previous low. So you could buy it on a pullback in anticipation that it gets back up into that uptrend, and if it breaks that low, then that's the line in the sand. Okay, CUV. So obviously hasn't been trading well this year ever since that massive sell-off at the end of January. We could see the big sell downs along the way. Look, on a positive note, even though it seems to be trending lower, we could view sort of recent price action here as a, fairly obvious support at 18, broke it, but then bounced back above it. So maybe a little bit of a false break there. Doesn't necessarily have the volume. What you could do is potentially purchase it here and run a really tight stop under that line. Otherwise, the risk could still be to the downside, so it's a bit of a higher risk proposition at this point in time. Okay, Bellevue Gold, so done well over the past year. Most recently, we've had this sort of sharp run up and then a decline. Then in mid-June, in particular, a very sharp sell down, which was a negative. But what's interesting is it sort of broke this low and then quickly recovered, so it's put in like a little reversal here, and then you've got this sort of bull flag after that initial bounce, and then the break of that would have been the next buying opportunity. And as we could see, it's continued on, so it's taken out the recent peak here, which is a positive, and volume's pretty good. So it looks like this consolidation is over, and I'd expect it to continue trending higher. Okay, ASM, so if we zoom out, it's just massive downtrend. Maybe it's basing out now because it's headed sideways for a couple of months, but it probably needs to put in more of a base. But short term, look, it's trying to push beyond what looks like a resistance level near, let's call that $1.20. It hasn't quite pushed through, but I think for a short, medium to longer term, it's too early, but I think for a short-term trade, you can look for say a close up here above $1.20, and you might get some sort of little, sort of spike higher. You just have to run your tight stop. So too early to call the bottom, but there might be a short-term trade. Okay, well that's all for this week. If you have a request, send it through and I'll try to cover it next Thursday.